Hello. My name is Charles Webster Bear, and today is November 10, 2022, and I am in Redmond, Oregon, USA. And my website is globalinternetgovernment.com. Today, we're going to talk about the history of the universe. That's my favorite subject. Okay, so according to the Big Bang Theory, which is the general consensus here, the predominant theory, the universe was created 14 billion years ago. Right. Or the universe has been around forever. And 14 billion years ago, it got to a size that was large enough for humans to comprehend. And we need names for potential other universes, like the non-universe, the post-universe, the pre-universe, the inner universe, the outer universe, etc., etc., etc. So time and space are dimensions that we use to measure the universe. So 15 billion years ago, the universe either didn't exist or was infinitely small. Anyway, it got larger. It expanded or was created 15 billion years ago. So it started out as a energy plasma. And as this energy plasma expanded and cooled, it formed dark matter. And as the dark matter expanded and cooled, it formed dark energy. Or maybe it was the other way around. Anyway, as the dark matter and dark energy continued to expand and cool, they formed subatomic particles, quantum particles, bosons, leptons, neutrinos, skiddly-doo-dinos, wiggly-woo-weenos, quarks, morks, chorks. And as these quantum particles, this energy plasma of quantum particles continue to expand and cool, they formed atomic particles, leptons, protons, electrons, neutrons. And as these atomic particles expanded and cooled, they formed hydrogen atoms. And as these hydrogen atoms expanded and cooled, they formed a hydrogen cloud. And as this hydrogen cloud expanded and cooled, it formed hydrogen clouds. And as these hydrogen clouds expanded and cooled, they formed lots and lots of hydrogen clouds. And then gravity acted upon these hydrogen clouds and pulled them together. And the pressure was so great that they formed stars. And these stars formed the other atoms. And as the universe continued to expand and the stars continued to expand, the gravity acted on the stars and pulled them together and formed galaxies. And as the universe continued to expand, these galaxies pulled together and formed galaxy clusters. And the universe is continuing to expand and cool. And in fact, this expansion is actually speeding up, oddly enough. And so that's where we're at right now. And if we play our cards right, we'll continue to exist on the planet, and humans will evolve into computers. Computers will evolve into artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will evolve into some other kind of silicon-based robotic life form that will go on to colonize the rest of the galaxy and the universe. And that is the history of the universe. The end. Now, I probably left out a few details. So, let's back it up to 5 billion years ago. When the sun and the planets were created. The planets are just what was left over from the creation of the sun. And the rocky planets were closer to the sun because they were heavier and had more gravity. And the gassy planets were farther away because they were lighter and had less gravity. And so the sun turned on 5 billion years ago, and then the planet Earth was created as just a blob of lava which cooled, and gas escaped and formed oceans. And then 4 billion years ago, life was created in some kind of thermo vent, mud pond thing, bacteria, was created just randomly, I mean, we're talking about trillions of stars and trillions of planets, and we were the lucky ones who created life just by chance. Bacteria, which evolved into algae, which evolved into plants, which created the oxygen in the atmosphere. And then these plants continued to evolve and evolution is just the mutation of the DNA. Evolution is when the DNA mutates and forms a better life form. And that life form succeeds more than the others. What I left out was that the entire universe is energy, and matter is just energy that's cooled off a little bit and has a slower vibration. Anyway, so as species mutate and get better, those species propagate more. So as plants evolved into fish, and fish evolved into reptiles, and reptiles evolved into mammals, and mammals evolved into monkeys, which evolved into apes, which evolved into humans, which evolved into intelligent humans. Don't want to get ahead of myself here. So really, it's all about life forms reproducing and evolving, and the ones that evolve faster and better reproduce more. And then the different climates on the planet, Arctic, desert, forest, jungle, keep the animals and plants in their ecosystems. So one particular species can't dominate the whole planet because, polar bears aren't going to go down to, Brazil, and penguins aren't going to go to Mexico. Cactuses aren't going to go to the Arctic, and, the four different climates, Arctic, forest, desert, jungle, keep the species, one species can't dominate because of the different climates. They're all adapted to their own particular climate, so one species can't take over the whole planet. So the goal of each species is to reproduce as much as it can, and as these species evolve, they, the ones that are better adapted, reproduce more and dominate their habitat. So this is a theme we're going to return to, that life wants to reproduce as much as it can, and does, and that's the history of life. So this is a theme I'm foreshadowing here. We're going to return to this theme. It's a very important part of the history of the universe. Yeah. So get ready for that, folks. Okay, so there's plate tectonics, and things are moving around. And then about 4 billion years ago, in Africa, South Africa, a form of ape evolves into us, Homo sapiens. And we're, the mammals, they have the 4 legs, they run around on 4 legs. But Homo sapiens stood up and walked on two legs. And this freed us up to stop looking at the mud and start looking at the stars. And it freed up our hands to, grab stuff and make stuff. And we had the opposable thumb, which allowed us to, basically So, and then we had the big brains. And we started creating language. And we left Africa about 150,000 years ago. And at that point, the cat was out of the bag. At that point, it was on, much like Donkey Kong. The first shot, I think, went to Australia. The second shot, I think, went to India. Or maybe the first shot went to India and then Australia. Anyway, the European shot actually went to Kazakhstan and then headed north that way. And then I think 20,000, 30,000 years ago, we went over from Russia to Alaska and populated the Americas. And so now we've got pre-civilizations 10,000 years ago. We've got agriculture, domesticating animals and plants, language, culture. It's all very tribal, but it's starting to come together. And you start to see, I guess you could call it religions or whatever, creation myths, the beginning of society. It's tribal, but it's the start. It's the start of communities that have their own unique cultures and languages and traditions and heritages. It's very rudimentary, but it's how humans start working together, which really, we're using tools and we're really starting to become something other than animals. It's a new program for animals that's above animals. We're working together to improve ourselves. So things hit high gear about 2,500 years ago. And the two areas I'm going to focus on today are Greece and India. So we'll start with Greece and Athens. This is the beginning of Western civilization. What happened in Athens 2,500 years ago is the foundation for Western civilization to this day. I mean, it still is. It's still the foundation of Western civilization. And what they did in Athens is they had a revolution, overthrew the dictatorship, and created a free democracy, created a freedom of speech, democracy, science, mathematics, philosophy, history, theater, psychology. Everything we have today was created by these Europeans in Athens 2,500 years ago. And then as the Greek Empire declined, and the thing to remember here is all empires decline, which is good. It's like football, dynasties decline for whatever reason and new dynasties arrive. It's like the NFL. Good teams get bad and bad teams get good. And it's the same with countries and empires. And that's good. That's good. That's the way it should be. So eventually the Greek Empire declined, and then the Italians, the Roman Empire, basically stole everything from the Greek Empire, and then the Roman Empire, brought all the stuff the Greek Empire created. The Roman Empire brought all that good stuff to Italy and then to the rest of Europe. And so that's the foundation of Western civilization. And you add a little bit of Christianity and boom, you've got technology, industrial revolution, imperialism, exploration, colonialism, America, and we'll get to that. But now let's stay 2,500 years ago and let's go to India. So this dude named Buddha from Nepal came down to India and got all philosophical. And he tried to break it down he tried to break reality down to the most basic components. He tried to make it as simple as possible because it can get complicated. And he said, yo, man, dig it. The universe it exists or it doesn't. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then what am I? I'm not part of the universe, so what am I? I'm the soul. So Buddha created the soul. And this information traveled to the East, to the Chinese. And the Chinese had a very sophisticated society, a very sophisticated language, a very advanced culture. They were very intelligent. And they, heard about this stuff that Buddha was talking about, and they said, man, that's some good shit. We're going to get down with that program, and they created Buddhism. And then Buddhism, went over west as well, to Jerusalem. And at this time in Jerusalem, they weren't as sophisticated as the Chinese. Their language was not as complete as the Chinese language. They weren't as smart as the Chinese. They were smart enough to know that this was some interesting bullshit, but they weren't smart enough to get it right. They were smart enough to say, hey, this sounds kind of strange, but they weren't smart enough to say this is the complete situation. So they misinterpreted it, either intentionally or unintentionally, and created Christianity. And then they made the exact same mistake again with Islam. So basically, religion, Christianity and Islam, is just incorrect misinterpretations of Buddhism. And the mistake they made was that Buddha said, if the universe does not exist, then you are the soul, which is philosophy. It's not religion. It's philosophy. And in my opinion, it's the correct philosophy. But he said soul singular, which in my opinion is right. However, Jesus and Muhammad said souls plural, which is not correct, technically. It might have value on a metaphoric level. It might be a good introduction to advanced philosophical thought. I don't know. I'm not going to get down here in the mud with everybody, but so that's what happened. And it's still happening, and it will continue to happen, and I guess that's okay. I'm not coming down on one side or the other on this. But anyway, so that's the deal, according to Charles Webster Bear, me. And so that's that. Right. So, this kickstarted the medieval period, the Dark Ages, and it kickstarted the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution, and now the Europeans are going all over the place. And we're in overdrive here worldwide with technology, and, there are economic theories like communism and capitalism. And there still are those economic theories of communism and capitalism. People tend to get a little overexcited about these things, but that's apparently the way it is. Money. Okay, so then in 1776, we've got America. And Americans are like, we're free, freedom of speech, democracy, freedom. And that's all well and good. As an American, I guess I support that kind of stuff. So, sure, why not? Let's get on the freedom tip. So we do that, and then there's World War I, and then there's World War II. Then there's the 50s, and the Cold War, and then there's the 60s. And then during the 60s, people start to talk about environmentalism. And they start to talk about saving the environment, saving the earth, not destroying the environment, not destroying the earth, not threatening the environment, not putting the future of the earth in jeopardy. And they start talking about, ways to accomplish this. And in the 1970s, the intelligent people start to realize that the best and easiest and most logical and rational and fair way to accomplish this is depopulationism. And depopulationism is the one woman, one child policy, which China implemented in 1980. And so that's what China did in 1980 is they created depopulationism, the one woman, one child policy. And the Chinese said, we're depopulationists. We're depopulationists. We believe in depopulationism. And depopulationism means it's illegal for anybody to reproduce a second time on the planet Earth or in China. But the insinuation was on the planet. Anyway, the Chinese, they did it right and they got it right. And then they waited for the rest of the planet to get it right, and we never got it right. The Chinese got it right in 1980 with depopulationism, and they basically said to the rest of the world, okay, now you guys get it right. We've showed you how to do it. Now you guys do it, and we never did it. The rest of the planet was too stupid to do it, and we're still too stupid to do it. So we're fucked is what we are. We're fucked. We should have done this in the 60s and 70s. The Chinese did it in the 80s and 90s. We should have done this a long time ago, and we didn't, because we're greedy, and we're evil, and we're insane, and we're stupid. And we suck. So we've killed the planet with overpopulation, and now we're really, really fucked. So now we need to figure out a way to implement the solution to the problem, which is depopulationism. And it seems to me a good way to do that would be with a world government. And there is a world government. There's been a world government for, since the 50s. It's called the United Nations and the International Monetary Fund. That's the world government, and that's been the world government for, my whole life. And it's a good world government. But it's not good enough. It needs to get better. It needs to get a lot better. It needs to get a lot better real quick. And that's why I created Global Internet Government in the year 2000, to help speed up this process so we can save the planet while we still have an opportunity to save the planet. So where we're at now is 2022. And where we need to be at is at a place where depopulationism is the law, for everybody on the planet. And so we need to implement that as quickly as possible. And the UN needs to implement it. And the IMF needs to implement it. And they need to do it now. They need to do it yesterday. And they have been really slacking off on this. And that's why we're in such a bad situation. If we had done this when we should have done it, which was the 60s and 70s, then there wouldn't really be a problem right now. Everybody would have clean water. Everybody would have fresh air. Everybody would have plenty to eat. Everything would be great. It'd be utopia. But now we've created hell because we're greedy and we're stupid and we're evil. And now we're living in hell. And, if we keep going down this road, the planet won't be habitable for the human race anymore. And we'll all be dead. So it's really an emergency situation. And it has been for decades. And, it's depressing. It's sad. It's sad how stupid people are. And it's unbelievable. I mean, I don't understand how people can be so stupid. Anyway, so that's the history of the universe. But I want to turn this into a positive history of the universe. I want to turn this into a history of the universe with a positive ending. So everybody can just be happy and, do the right thing. So let's go into the future now, because history is about the past, but we can go into funky history, which is about the past and the present and the future. So let's do that. Let's go into the year 2040. All right, let's go into the future, 18 years. Okay, at this point, I've overdosed on heroin, but the rest of the human race has achieved a world government that's free and democratic and depopulationist, and everybody has freedom of speech, and everybody can vote about whatever they want to vote about, and everybody is smart and intelligent, and everybody is depopulationist, and the level of people on the planet starts to decrease from 8 billion down to 7 billion. And so now let's go into the future 100 years. Let's go to the year 2122. Okay, now everything's chill, everything's groovy, the world government's cool, everybody's happy, and the number of people on the planet has gone down to about 5 billion. Okay? And now let's go into the future 500 years. Okay? Let's go into the future 500 years from now. So now we're in the year 2522 AD. Okay. Now everything's great. Everybody's happy. The human population has gone from, 4 billion down to 3 billion. Okay. And, women are having 2 babies, 3 babies, 0 babies, whatever they want. Okay, so now let's go into the future 1,000 years. Let's go into the future 1,000 years from now, the year 3022 AD. Now everybody's got clean water, everybody's got clean air, everybody's got plenty of food and shelter and health care. And the human population has gone from 3 billion people to about 2 billion people. Okay? So now let's go to the future about 10,000 years. We're going to go to the year 12,022 AD. And now everything's perfect. Everybody lives in a great world, united planet, united government, free, democratic. Everybody's got clean air, clean water, as much as they want. Everything's great. And the human population has gone from about 2 billion to about 1 billion. Okay? And now people are like, you know what? We've saved the environment. We've saved the planet. The environment's no longer in danger. The planet's no longer in danger. We've brought back a lot of species that were on the brink of extinction. And now we can start increasing the number of people on Earth. And we'll go from 1 billion back up to 2 billion. And then if we go into the future, 20,000, 30,000 years, now there's 2 billion people on the planet, and it'll just stay there. That'll be the sustainable level of people on the planet. And then if we go into the future, 10 million, 20 million years from now, humans will have evolved into a different species of animal. Humans will still be around, but they'll also be animals that evolved from humans to something better, smarter. And they'll be called, post-humans or whatever. And if we go into the future, like 100 million years from now, 200 million years from now, now we're expanding out throughout the galaxy, not only as carbon-based life forms, not only as post-humans and humans, why not, but also as robots. So there'll be spaceships of humans going out into other galaxies. There'll be spaceships of post-humans going out into other galaxies. And there'll be spaceships of just nothing but robots going out into other galaxies. So there'll be all kinds of life forms expanding into the universe, colonizing the universe. Some will be us. Some will be, more evolved forms of us. Some will be straight up robots. And, there's plenty of galaxies for everybody. And the robots don't even need planets. They can just, they can just build new spaceships for themselves, and that's their planet. But the humans will want other planets and whatever. Anyway, so that's the history of the universe, past, present, and future. And so what happens, like 15 billion years from now, or 20 billion years from now, or 100 billion years from now? Well, there's the Big Crunch, where the universe contracts back into, the Big Bang. And then there's the big fizzle, where all the stars burn all the fuel, and there's no more fuel for stars to burn, and so everything just becomes dust. And maybe that dust just collapses and forms the Big Crunch. Or maybe there is no Big Crunch. Maybe it's just, dust, and then that's it. And maybe it's just there's dust, and then that's it. But the life forms learn how to live within the dust or whatever. So, we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Patience is the key. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. That's the history of the universe. I've left a lot out. A lot of stuff I know and I left out. A lot of stuff I don't know and I left out. But I did leave out a lot of stuff. But I tried to touch on the big, important main points here. And history is the past. The future is speculation. But I like to bring it together because a lot of the past is speculation. And a lot of speculation is pretty firm. But that's the history of the universe. And the abridged version, that's just like a summary. I didn't go over everything because there's not time to go over everything, and this is hard to believe, but I don't know everything so far. But anyway, yeah, I think I covered the main issues here. I think I covered the main developments. It's not about individual people. It's about all life forms. Trees, plants, animals, humans, robots, stars, rocks, It's not about individual human beings. That's not what it's about. It's about the human race. And the human race leaving less of an imprint than it's leaving now. Because the human race is leaving too much of an imprint. And we need to reduce our imprint drastically and quickly while we have a chance to do that. That's what it's about. And we will do that. And it'll be messy and painful, but we don't have any other option. And so it's time for us to take control of our future. It's time for us to take control of our destiny. It's time for us to take control of our fate. And it's time for us to make history. It's time for us to create history. It's time for us to create the correct kind of history. all of us. So when they do write the history books, it'll be positive and not negative. Right now, they're writing the history books of this millennium, and it's negative. So we need to take control of our future. We need to take control of our destiny, and we need to do the right thing in a big way, real fast. And so when they do write the complete history of this millennium, it'll be positive. And it will show us as people who were intelligent and who cared and who did the right thing. Because right now, they're writing the history of this millennium, and we're not doing the right thing. We're doing the wrong thing. And we're not smart. We're stupid. So we need to do a 180 here. And we need to do the right thing. And we need to make history to be a good history, not a bad history. And that's history. And that's the history of the universe. And that's the history of human beings. And that's the history of everything. So I came in under an hour, which is good. My name is Charles Webster Bear. Today is November 10th, 2022. I'm in Redmond, Oregon, USA. And my website is globalinternetgovernment.com. So please enjoy this video, share this video, make your own video. Make your own video where you tell everybody about the history of the universe. Make a video where you say, "Hi, I'm going to tell you about the history of the universe." And then tell everybody about the history of the universe. And don't just talk about the past. Talk about the past and the present and the future. Why not? Do the full meal deal. Give everybody everything and then some. Because that's funky history. And funky history is the best kind of history. Because it, lets everybody participate in it. And it lets everybody create the history and make the history and talk about the history as it's happening. It's like history live. It's like live history. It's like history as a sporting event or whatever. So that's the history of the universe. As far as we can figure it out so far. Thank you for watching. And have a great life. Peace in the hood. Rock on. Judas Priest, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.